You wake up in Pittsburgh in 1875. The sky is brown at noon. You have $500 in your pocket, and you already know how the next 26 years end. Below you, the rivers are crowded with coal barges. Above you, hundreds of chimneys are burning the daylight into a permanent dusk. The city smells like sulfur and money. Everyone here is frightened. The Panic of 1873 has been grinding the country down for 2 straight years. J. Cook & Company, the most trusted bank in America, collapsed in September of 1873. The New York Stock Exchange shut its doors for 10 days. Banks failed. Railroads stopped paying their debts. Men walk the riverbank looking for work that does not exist. Storefronts are boarded. Land is being dumped for whatever it will bring. For everyone else, 1875 is the bottom of a hole. For you, it is the cheapest year in American history. Because you know something they do not. You know that iron is finished. You know that steel is about to eat the world. And you know exactly who is going to own it. 12 miles up the Monongahela, in a town called Braddock, a new mill is lighting its furnaces this year. It is called the Edgar Thomson Steel Works. It is named after the president of the Pennsylvania Railroad because the railroad is its first customer. The man who built it is 40 years old. His name is Andrew Carnegie. In September of 1875, that mill rolls its first steel rail. The age of iron ends on that day. Almost nobody notices. So what do you do with $500? Do you walk to Braddock and ask Carnegie for a job? That is the obvious move. It is also the wrong one. Because Carnegie's a company is not a stock. You cannot buy it. There are no shares on any exchange. It is a closed partnership, and the partners are men he has known for 20 years. Your $500 buys you nothing there. This is the first hard lesson of the simulation. Knowing the winner is not the same as being able to buy the winner. So you stop looking at the mill. You start looking at what the mill has to eat. Here is the thing about a blast furnace. It cannot burn coal. Raw coal is full of sulfur and tar. Feed it to a furnace and it poisons the iron before the iron ever becomes steel. So the coal has to be cooked first. You bake it in a sealed brick oven for 2 days until everything but the carbon burns away. What comes out is coke. Gray, light, almost pure carbon. It burns hot enough to melt rock. And here is the number that matters. Every ton of steel needs roughly a ton of coke to exist. Carnegie can build 100 mills. He cannot build a single one that runs without coke. So where does the best coke in America come from? 50 miles southeast of where you are standing. There is a seam of coal running under Connellsville, Pennsylvania. Low sulfur, low ash, and it bakes into a coke so strong it holds its shape under the crushing weight of the furnace above it. There is nothing else like it on the continent. Not in Ohio, not in Virginia, not anywhere, which means the entire future of American steel runs through one narrow strip of Pennsylvania farmland. And in 1875, that farmland is on sale. The Depression has done your work for you. The ovens are cold, the workers are gone. The owners cannot pay their loans. You know these fields will feed the largest industrial fortune in human history. They do not. Remember this pattern. During a panic, the asset does not disappear. Only the buyers do. So you go to Connellsville. Your $500 buys a small tract of coal land and a share in a set of failing ovens. It is not a fortune. It is a foothold. And you are not the only one doing this. There is a 25-year-old already down there buying every cold oven he can find. His name is Henry Clay Frick. In 1871, he borrowed $10,000 from a Pittsburgh banker named Thomas Mellon to build 50 coke ovens. Then the panic hit. Frick did not sell. He bought. While every competitor was liquidating at the bottom, he was absorbing them. You put your money next to his, you take your small stake, and you stop touching it. Now comes the part the simulation cannot skip, because holding is easy on paper. In July of 1877, the railroads cut wages again, and the country explodes. The Great Railroad Strike reaches Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh becomes the worst of it. Troops fire into a crowd. The city burns for 2 days. The Pennsylvania Railroad's roundhouse goes up in flames. Dozens are dead. Your coke has no customers. The trains are not moving. The steel is not selling. Your stake on paper is worth close to nothing. Everyone around you is selling anything they can hold in 2 hands. What do? This is the decision that decides the entire simulation. Because your knowledge is not a shield. It is only a reason to sit still while it hurts. You hold. By 1879, the Depression breaks. The rails come back, the furnaces relight, and the market discovers what you already knew. There's only one Connellsville, and Frick owns most of it. By his 30th birthday, in December of 1879, Henry Clay Frick is a millionaire. Your $500 riding quietly beside him is now worth several thousand. But the real event is still coming. It arrives in 1881. Andrew Carnegie buys into the Frick Coke Company. Think about what just happened. The man who will dominate American steel has decided he cannot depend on a supplier. He does not want to buy coke. He wants to own the ground it comes out of. That is vertical integration in plain English. Own every step, from the rock in the ground to the rail on the track. Own the coal, the coke, the ore, the ships, the furnaces, the mills. Pay a profit to no one. And here is your decision point. Carnegie is offering cash. Take it, and you walk away with several $1,000s. That is real money in 1881. A house, a business, a comfortable life. It is also the end of your story. Or you convert your stake into equity in the combined operation, and you hand your fortune to a man you will never meet, in a company you cannot control, with no exchange to sell it on if you change your mind. The risk is total. The reward is a share of the largest industrial machine on Earth. You take the equity. What follows is 20 years of compounding you barely have to watch. Steel rails cost about $166 a ton in 1867, about $68 when you arrived in 1875. By the end of the 1890s, under 20, Carnegie drove the price into the floor and took the entire market down with him. And every time the cost fell, demand rose. Every time demand rose, they needed more coke. Every ton of that coke came out of your ground. By 1890, the United States is outproducing Britain in steel. In 1889, Frick becomes chairman of Carnegie's company. Your two investments are now one machine. And then, in July of 1892, comes the part of this story that no fortune should be told without. At the Homestead mill, the company locks out its workers and brings in 300 armed Pinkerton agents on barges. There is a gun battle on the riverbank. Men die on both sides. The strike is broken. Wages falls, hours rise. The profits you are counting are built partly on that. That is not a footnote. That is the invoice. Every great fortune of this era has one, and most stories quietly leave it out. You do not get to hold the equity and skip the bill. Now, the ending. In 1901, J.P. Morgan buys Carnegie out for $480 million. The pieces are welded into the United States Steel Corporation, capitalized at $1.4 billion, the first billion-dollar company on Earth. Carnegie's personal share is about $225 million, paid in gold bonds. He spends the rest of his life trying to give it away. And your stake, the one that started as $500 and a cold oven in Connellsville, converts along with everything else. Final position, roughly $400,000 in 1901 securities. In today's money, about $15 million. You started with $500, which is about $14,000 in modern terms. You turned it into 800 times more, and you never smelted a single ton of steel. So what actually made the money? Not the mill, not the genius, not the rails. You made it by owning the one thing the winner could not build for himself. Carnegie could outwork you, outthink you, and outspend you. He could not make Connellsville Coke appear anywhere else on the map. That is the whole lesson. And it did not stay in 1875. It is sitting in front of you right now. Everyone is trying to pick the company that wins. Almost nobody asks the better question. What does every winner have to buy, no matter which one of them wins? The land under the mill, the chip in the machine, the rail the train has to run on. You wake up in Pittsburgh in 1875 with $500 and no way to buy the future. So you buy what the future has to eat instead. Would you have held in 1877 while the city burned and your money was gone?